Alright, Title 312, Natural Resource Commission, Oil and Article 29, Oil and Gas, Indiana. Alright, 312 Indiana Administrative Code 29.22.6 Well Stimulation Treatment Plans Operation using 500 barrels more total fluid. Every well stimulation used with 5,000 barrels or more stimulation shall have the well stimulation prepared with the current requirements of the section plan should be prepared with the time of the authorized representative of the well owner and operator. Extreme with the design conduct well stimulation treatment and operation available to share with the during well stimulation available to the inspection copy with the division plan with the request period of 12 months with the conclusion well stimulation well in which the plan was prepared for initiating well stimulation operation. Employees, agent, contracted owner, operator, other persons involved with conducting well stimulation should receive with awareness training regarding with the contents of the plan. Well stimulation plan required under section include the minimum of the following of the aid specification certification with the production casing well head equipment installed with the well, verification adequacy integrity with the cement behind each of the casing string with the ensure the isolation well stimulation fluid with identified with the well stimulation with the fracturing with the backup through with the production case for the describing the well with the wellhead isolation tool with the tree say with the warranted ensure pushing wellhead casing with the comply with the requirements of the rule specification design surface pressure of the being with the take with the protect again with the overpressure of the condition can result in the failure of the well casing string with the wellhead equipment with the provide plan continuous monitoring during well stimulation surface the injection pressure for the injection rate with the annually per pressure. Describing the proximity condition of the potential impact of the well stimulation or nearby existing with the previous public oil gas identifying intervals to be treated, disclosing volumes composition well stimulation fluids of the proponent's FU with confirming the solution of the storage tank with the capacity exists to contain the anticipated frac flow back fluids. Notification requirements of oil gas inspector for the at least 24 hours before commencing with the well stimulation 5,000 barrels of total fluid or more with the owner and operator will know with the oil gas inspector for the intent to commence with the well stimulation operation. Owner and operator shall cease simulation and operation verbally notify with the oil and gas inspector with the practical is no later than 24 hours of following the occurrence of any of the following incident with the during with the well stimulation regardless of the amount of fluid used. Stimulation treatment operation hydraulic fracture treatment fluid with the return back of the strip with the tube with the failure of the casing with the tube in the packer, some of the which discharge from the pressure valve installed within section 5B or 7 and 8 of this rule. Needless pressure of the will be monitored excess with more than 400 pounds per square inch during the well stimulation spell. Discharge greater than 1 barrel with any stimulation fluid or frac fluid occurs during the well stimulation. Reporting hydraulic fracture information. Section established requirement to report with the hydraulic fracture information division within 30 days from the conclusion of hydraulic fracturing included with the refracturing of the well owner and operator must provide with the detail of the hydraulic fracture of the division with the information must provide with the form prescribed with the division included with the following information volume source of the base fluid isn't used including location and registration information of the end source of the water significant water withdrawal facility under Indiana Code 1425-7 separate amount of proponent used of the division each of the additive product used including each of the following trade name additive product used identified product manufacturer of the SDS description of the type of each of the additive product used a description previously purpose of each additive used list a copy to previously submitted by the division copy of the safety test used for each of the additive product used for the maximum volume of each productive product used expressive on the percentage of the mass the total fractional fluid percentage of the volume of the total fractional fluid maximum surface testing surface treating pressure of the injection treating pressure of the indentification formation stimulated with the hydraulic fracturing with the hydraulic fracturing performed with the fracturing site production casing through the production casing without separate fracturing copies of the following additional information must be submitted along with the hydraulic fracturing report. Also with the company's object with the similar reports provided the summary of the product with the service performed with the respect with the hydraulic fracturing reports are not required to include the cost information product of the service to do with the pressure records recording charts of the graphs generated with the highlighted fracturing all log surveys performed calculated map of the fracture length of the height upon written request of the well operator following the information may be requested to be held with the confidential of the division period up to 1 year with the day's stimulation operation of the identification formation stimulated with the hydraulic fracturing supplemental information required under subsection C. All information provided on the forms will be placed on public record or well available for the inspection by the public. Use of diesel fuel by hydraulic fracturing stimulated operation. Hydraulic fracturing operation with a diesel fuel component with a hydraulic fracturing must contain with a class 2 with a permanent equivalent with the 312 of the IAC 29.5 with the injection authorization for the division and according with the 312 IAC 29.28 1 with the beginning operation. Class 2 permit is not required for For hydraulic fracturing operation of the diesel fuel component with the hydraulic fluids, purpose for the section of the diesel fuel refers to fluids associated 5 years. Deliver the chemical abstracts with the register numbers consigned with the chemical abstract with the division of American Chemical comply with the chemical abstracts with the registry diesel fuel number 1, fuel oil number 2, nut fuel oil number 2, 4, and kerosene. Rule 23, well workover requirement, workover pits, the discharge fluids of any activity associated with workover the operation, any surface in groundwater with the location of the likely cause of the pollution of the surface of the groundwater prohibited unless steel tanks used to operate with the shovel line work pit over the tank, all fluids will be generated during workover the operation, workover pit should be constructed with maintained in accordance with the same requirements of the line drilling with the completion requirement periods under 312 of the Indiana Code. Indiana Administrative Code 2921 and 2921-2, with a compacted clay liner applied with the bottom sides of the pit created with the purpose to bear with the construction of a complicated compacted clay liner shall be in accordance with the construction of the design principle necessary to prevent the leak of seepage from the clay used for the construction of the liner may shoot with a mix with additional offsite with the materials on-site with the clay with the adequate or using other materials method of liner construct for the authorized division director after the owner and operator demonstrates for the equivalent protection of the prevention of leakage and seepage fluids for the pit can be achieved. Workover pit should be used with a temporary storage workover fluid waste for the provided within this rule should not be used with a storage of the waste for the not directly from the workover operation. D of the division shall issue notice of the approval of the denial application submitted under subsection B and 3 in accordance with the 312 of the Indiana Administrative Code 2935. The decision approve of the deny the application submitted under section B3 is subject to Indiana Code 2142115. Work fluid to disposal of the pit closure requirements. Section 2A within 30 days of the conclusion well work over operation all fluid materials work over pit should be abandoned in accordance with the requirements of the section of the work over pit's backfill with the restored specified in subsection D. Content of the work over pit shall be removed with the maximum extent practicable if not reused the recycle in another location with the waste shall be disposed of one or more of the following: transported to permitted landfill authorized except for the waste treatment of discharge of the fluid approved of the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System facility permitted in accordance with Indiana Code 1318. Disposal of the fluid injection into the Class 2 well with the treatment of disposal of the means of the approval of the Division Director Constellation Indiana Department of Environmental Management. Synthetic liner shall be removed with the full extent of the practical to properly dispose of the recycle with the owner and operator shall close with the work over pit by with the filling pit with native soil elevation to ensure the site with a stable to not prone to the settling with the other substances, the restoring of the surface the closest possible to the original land contour, and covering will fill the area with a stockpiled material of uniform thickness, reporting requirements of following significant worker operations. Within 30 days after the conclusion, significant workover operations, the owner and operator shall submit with a report with the workover operation division. Report should complete with a form prescribed by the division should include the following tally of the tubing running back to Class 2 wells, set in depth of any packer set on the well, the description, modification, repairs made to the well casing or liners, description and copy of the cement job record and for any remedial supplemental submitting of the well case summary hydraulic fracturing description geophysical log of the run location of the depth interval new preparation geophysical run well owner operator provide the 2 copies of the log well report. The purpose of this section is significant workover operation includes any of the following operations: setting and unsetting the packer Class 2 well, unsetting of the pack for the underground storage well with the underground petroleum storage well, placement and removal of the bridge plugs in the well with the plugging of the back well with the remedial supplemental cementing of the casing of the bridge plug with the installing of the removal of the casing liners in the well, perforating the production casing previously unperforated intervals, hydrofracturing well stimulation treatment and operation result of the training with the configuration of the well bore. Rule 24 tank battery registration of the tank batteries. All tank battery operating register for the division of the required in section of the owner and operator shall register for the existing tank battery facility 120 days effective with the date of this article. Owner and operator register for the new battery facility 30 days after the construction of the facility. Owner and operator register for the tank battery facility on a form prescribed by the division shall include the following information: name and address of the facility, over the name of the leaf of the production of the facility unit of the facility, location, factory, facility by quarter section, township, the range and county, with a map photo sketch of the facility with depicting following information: location, number, size of each tank separated from the other processing vessel, location, dimensions of the secondary containment construction surrounding the vessel, demonstration secondary containment structure meeting the requirements of section 2C of this rule, a plan management with accumulated precipitation with a secondary containment structure in accordance with section 2C and 2D of this rule and facility located with floodplain defined in 312 of the Indiana Code 1115. The plan shall demonstrate the facility means for the requirements of section 3 of this rule that describe the means for the owner and operator will take for the facility in undated flood waters to prevent discharge of the producer floods of the waste waters for the state of the protect the tank separated from the other processing vessels of floating. Upon fulfilling the requirements of this section, owner and operator will receive the registration number of the tank battery facility. Owner and operator shall transfer all tank battery facility registration time associated with wells transferred to operating requirement tank battery facilities. Section establishes requirement of the operation tank battery facility that each of the tank batteries shall have a legible sign with a post of the continuous place for the unused of the crew of the oil produced for the water storage tank with the side of the sheds shall be the side with the shape of the easily read for the distance of 20 feet from showing the following information: owner and operator, the name and the leaf of the production name of the facility, registration associated with the division, emergency telephone number, the section, township, the range of the county facility, location. All tank battery facility shall be surrounded with a second containment structure meeting of the following requirements: capacity of secondary containment structure shall be designed, constructed, to maintain and contain at least 110% of the capacity of the largest single tank with the conjoined tanks, equipped with the manifold configured with the fluid level in each tank, the equal with the fluid air added or to withdrawn with the conjoined tanks located with the secondary contaminated structure. Natural non-made material that used with the construction lining secondary containment structure shall be sufficient and previous with the contained fluid, resistant with the corrosion earth materials constructed with secondary contamination shall be stabilized, protected from erosion vegetation within surrounding secondary contaminated structure with the shall not pose fire hazard. The interior of the secondary contaminated structure shall be kept free with the excessive of the vegetation, general oil, fuel, waste, or any flammable material that accumulated storm water inside of the secondary contaminated structure removed within 72 hours of accumulation. All valves and fittings of storage and other processing vessels should be operated to maintain and prevent discharge of leaking with the fluid used from secondary contaminated structure exempt as authorized in subsection B with the D of the pipes and conduits over the drain lines of the purpose of the drain. Accumulated storm water shall not pass through the wall of the secondary containment structure. 9. The discharge and drain storm water of the other accumulated fluids in the area outside of the contaminated dikes are prohibited unless over the under subsection D. An owner and operator may authorize the drain line through the wall secondary containment structure for the sole purpose of the draining the uncontaminated storm water. File with the owner and operator shall file the affidavit certifying that the tank battery facility has constructed in accordance with subsection C for the spill prevention control of the countermeasure plan as known with the SBCC plan for the tank battery facility has prepared in accordance with the requirements of Title 40 CFR 112.9 with the owner and operator shall submit and identify with the procedure owner and operator to the discharge from water from the requirements of subsection F of the location of the spill prevention control countermeasure plan upon finding of the battery facility with the plan and the requirements section of the tank operator satisfactory demonstrate with the discharge of the uncontaminated storage water for the tank battery facility will be managed in accordance with the subsection. The division director shall issue the written authorization and shovel the drain line through the wall secondary containment structure of the discharge of uncontaminated storage water of the non-discharge of the uncontaminated storage water. The second containment structure is permitted unless the written authorization obtained with the division director. Authorization will be granted only all of the following conditions are met: the total dissolve of the content of the representative samples of the fluid is less than 750 milligrams per liter. There must be no evidence hydrocarbon visible sheen present with the surface of the water before discharge. The discharge shall take place only during daylight hours. Owner and operator authorized representative shall be present at all time with a witness for the discharge of the storm water. The drain line valve is open. Owner and operator shall maintain with a written record of each of the storm water discharges indicating the facility registration volume of the storm water discharge, the total discharge solid content, presence hydrocarbons visible sheen with the date and the time of the discharge of the record shall be maintained with the inspect with the force of required for the division direct for the oil gas inspect for the 6 months for the discharge of the drain line shall have the valve and install the shall but they remain closed when not in use. Should be capital otherwise secure for the protective of vandalism other accidental discharge permanent sign that shall be placed 5 feet with the drain pipe of the discharge identified by the owner and operator name of the storm water discharge authorization number assigned by the division facility storage separator. Storage tank separators, other processing vessels containing produced fluid shall be kept in a good repair and free from leaks. The leaking tanks and vessels should be properly taken out of the repair failure to comply with the provisions may result in withdrawal of the authorization discharge uncontaminated storm water under the subsection. Tank batteries in areas of periodic flooding. Tank battery facility located at 100 feet over the floodplain and with the river stream of the owner and operator with sufficient precautions and so that in event of the secondary containment structures required in section 2 of the rule overtopped in rising floodwaters, water does not require the storage tank other vessels to float. No discharge crude oil produced fluids and water should stay the curves. Enforcement associated with the tank batteries. Failure to constructively operate, maintain a tank battery facility in accordance with the Indiana Code 1437 under this rule may result in the revocation of the permits over the well with the oil and gas purposes over the wells associated with the tank battery facility. Approval of the denial application notice of the division shall issue the notice of approval of the denial application submitted under section 1 and 2 of the rules according to the 312 of the Indiana Municipal Code 29.3.4.35. Decision to approve of the denial of the application is subject to the Indiana Code 421.5. Rule 25. Facility operating requirements lease well identification sign with the identified with the producing lease owner and operator shall place with the durable weather resistant sign with a practical lease road into the lease and any other location approved with the inspector with the sign with the size and shape of the easily read with the distance to 20 feet shown with the following information: the name of the lease, the name of the owner, the operator, the name of the manager, emergency telephone number, the section, township, range, county with the lease, with the addition with the sign with the describing subsection A with the durable weather resistant sign shall also be played with near each of the well leaf identified with the permanent number of the well name, the well identification sign shall be legible with a distance of 20 feet with any change of the well. Leave the information required that the be posted made or lease for the well sign within 60 days of the change with the curve of the key for the transfer of the ownership. Within 60 days after the effect of the day of the transfer, spill prevention, response reporting. Owner and operator shall ensure the activity connect with the prevent spill with the relief of the fluid of the subsurface, surface to observe the water of the shade with the result of the connection with the operation of the oil gas of the article with the except of the authorized Indiana Code 1432 of the article. Owner and operator shall initiate with the following emergency response with the procedure of the oil spill with immediate after the discover the tap with the containment of the undischarged with the releasing fluid with the minimum of the areas affected with the spill with the report spill with the requirements of section C. Plans emergency spill response coordinated with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management spill entering the surface of water storage recovered fluids for the above ground water tanks or leak-free above-ground vessel with a tank storage until recyclable, reclaimed, disposable in accordance with the soil will contain remove free fluids of the land surface placement of the absorbent booms of the other absorbent materials, emergency evacuation vacuum truck with the other collection means designated to prevent mitigation spill liquids managed containment of the absorbent materials in accordance with section 4 of the rules unless otherwise directly authorized. Emergency spill response coordinated with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. Spill release fluids resulting from the use of the connection of the operation wells under the article shall approve of the owner and operator appropriate agents specify the time period required in the following tables: crude oil spilling report tables, and then we're going to skip the tables. At the minimum initial spill recovery required in subsection C shall include the following: the name of the permittee responsible for the spill, the location spill, the volume of the fill, fluid spill, the identified fluid spill, the area, a real extent of the spill, the cause of the spill, the contact information, include the telephone name of the person familiar with the incident, notification system with the relief of the person with the obligation with the report oil and chemical spill for the required within the applicable local, state, and federal law. Within 30 days found with the discovery of any of the spill required with the report in a section. Owner and operator shall file with a final report with the form prescribed with the division identifying with the detail of the incident with the factors contributing to the incident with the preventing measure with the have of the will be taken to protect against similar future incidents. Reports of fires and blowouts. In addition, with the reporting requirement spills in section 2, with the rule of the owner of the operator shall report all fires and blowout with the other incidents of the involved with the loss of the control of the well with any facility associated with the drilling operation plugging with the well oil gas purposes with the division. Within 2 hours of the discovery, the telephone number to respectively email the spill at dnr.nin.gov. The report shall include the following information: location of the fire and the blowout, at least known if known, with the direction of the site with the name of the owner and operator of the well with the facility, include with the well local emergency response force shall have been notified of the emergency make sure measures taken in process to contain the control of the incident. Within 30 days of following the incident, owner and operator shall have the final report with the prescribed of the division identifying the detail of the incident, factors contributing to the incident, preventing a measure that have been and protecting against similar future incidences, management of the disposal of the contaminated fluids, soils. Owner and operator shall manage crude oil with produced waters containing soil with contaminated absorbent material with either both of the following methods: disposal of solid waste, landfill with the other waste management facility with the permitted with the Department of Environmental Management, except with the waste that were mediated in accordance with requirements section 5 of this rule. Remediation: contaminated soil that have been contaminated crude oil produced through water can be conducted in accordance with section 7 of the contamination under the local authorization of the division. The division may authorize the owner and operator to remediate contaminated sites of soils with the other than with the site of the spill with the release following consideration request for the form prescribed. Division include the following information: location site of the proposed remedial site with the authorized surface owner of the prior for the form remediation operation, location, estimated volume of soils to be treated, surface of the contaminated soil with the method to be actively managed with the remediation contaminated soil with the site. Contaminated soil at least 8 inches to the inch deep shall be remediated the site with the contaminated extent of the depth greater than 8 inches shall be excavated, redistributed to uniform layer surface. Remediation site authorized by the division according to the subsection B with no greater than 8 inches contaminated remediation actual area shall be actively managed by the owner and operator. You for the commonly accepted the remediation bioremediation method of soil with meeting the following standards of 12 months of the day of the spill. Soil contaminated crude must be less than 1% of the total petroleum hydrocarbon. Soil contaminated with the produced water must contain less than 1,000 milligrams of the per liter of chloride. The division may require the owner and operator to take the other remediation action for the removal of the effective soil with the solid waste landfill, or the waste management facility permitted with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management to accept the type of the waste if the soil does not meet the standards set forth in subsection E within 12 months. Active management, the purpose of subsection E within involve the commonly accepted agricultural practice with widely recognized the creating the soil with the environmental variable over the cultivating microorganisms and other conditions as to assist the cleanup of the remediation contaminated soil with the practice usually include with the incorporation of fertilizer, lime, organic matter as appropriate into the soil with the by with the tillage and ensuring of the site receive the adequate moisture for the enhanced biological activity to promote with the removal of contaminants from the soil. Acceptable management practices for those are published in the Integrated Petroleum and Environmental Consortium IPEC guidelines for bioremediation crude oil spills dated January 12, 2004. IPEC guideline remediation small brine spills dated January 12, 2004. Oil leasing roads and county roads, crude oil over the crude oil tank bottoms shall not be applied for the surface of the lease road over the county roads authorized under the sections for over the oil, gas, the norm, waste for the lease roads or the county roads as prohibited before applying oil over the any lease road over the county road over the owner and operator shall obtain authorization prescribed by the division include the following: the location of the lease unit with the crude oil over the crude oil tank bottoms, the ridge and location of the leasing over the road, county road, the crude oil tank bottoms shall be applied with the name of the draft, the permit, the method of the application of the oil bed bottom sediments. Map shows the lease roads with the oil and location of the over the ditch, the stream of the pond with the other impoundments that will 100 feet of the lease road with the bring some of the crude oil bottom cement with the application of the Surface County over the application of the lease road with the county board commission for the applicant site over the county road with upon written approval of the division crude oil tank bottoms may be applied for the lease of the road county roads as follows. Material should be deployed applied to avoid the runoff of the road surface during the application applied liquids if it is not observed the road surface is incorporated otherwise removed eliminating freestanding liquids. A lease road of the county must not be oiled more than twice in 12-month period. Of the road oiling shall not be conducted when the ground is frozen during precipitation events where the road surface is saturated. Crude oil tanks used for road oiling shall not have the producing water content greater than 10% of the free water by volume. Authorization road oiling under the section remains valid if you belong with the lease and the unit is active within the current permittee unless withdrawn by the division cause the consent required in subsection C6 with the withdrawn surface the owner of the board with the county commissioner for any reason. The authorization road oiling is not transferable to another owner and operator. Authorization road oiling is terminated by change of the surface of the owner unless the new surface of the owner provided with the written consent of the continuing application crude oil tank bottom lease road application crude oil of the crude oil tank bottoms of the lease of the road of the county roads without prior with the written authorization for the division of the name of the provided in the section shall be considered violation article subject to the enforcement in accordance with the 312 of the Indiana Administrative Code 2934 with additional with all the other enforcement action division shall require that the crude oil and crude oil tank bottoms apply of the lease road of the county road violation section removed the other from properly disposed of according to requirement subsection section 4 of this rule. Flow lines, except the provided in subsection B with the article of the owner shall allow the flow lines control with the replay for the affected for the day with the article with the connection with the operator of the well for the oil gas 36 inches below the ground surface. Vision may approve of the exemption of the burial of the requirements of subsection A, either the below for the following applied topographical feature land of the ground condition prevent the compliance of subsection A with the 2 with the terms of oil gas lease prohibit the burial and flow lines crossing the stream should comply with the permitting construction in Indiana Code 1428-122, 312 of the Indiana Administrative Code 1014 and 10.5. Operators shall not use the cultivators conveying with the flow lines any public road without written authorization. Applicable local government road management authorized by the Indiana Department of Transportation owner and operator should construct, operate, maintain flow lines, including all fitting of the valve of the pump meter with the gauges approved to the attach of the flow line of the leak of the spill from the flow line shall be reported with the clean under the required under this rule with appropriate repairs made with the maintained flow integrity of flow line shall not have the outlet valve within itself for the purpose of discharge and fluids between the place and the well of the origin authorized store of the disposal point. Specialized valve is installed for the purpose of preventing traffic the flowing of the flow line maintenance is permissible. Upon abandonment, any buried flow line with the owner and operator shall extend with the practical to line any fluid capable of sealing the ends of the abandoned flow lines, power lines. Owner and operator shall then install the power lines effective with the date with the article burial 36 inches below the ground surface, the elevation power pole with at least 14 feet off of the ground surface. The owner and operator shall elevate above ground power lines installed with the effective with the date. The article was specified in subsection A of the division determines the after the constellation land over the power lines posed with the hazard of public safety. General oil field waste owner of the operator operator shall keep the well site of the facility associated with the drilling operation plugging with the well with the oil gas purpose free of the general oil field waste unless such for the waste is stored in the covered leak-free containers. Equipment storage. For purpose of this section, when the equipment is made for the vehicle, the brake of the tool, of the bit, of the cable, of the store, of the vessel, process of the treatment, the vessel, of the casing, of the pipe, of the other tubular valve, of the gauge, of the pump, of the compressor, of the media, of any other device, part of the hardware, any of the kind of the operation, well, of the oil gas purpose. Except for the location is the name of the owner and operative of the U of the storage equipment is intended of the U of the drill of the operation, well, of the oil gas for the owner and operator of the not U of the un-U of the lease of the unit except for the temporary base for the specifically designated area, specific arrangements made with the sale of the recycle of the disposal of the equipment, the debris of the maintenance, wellhead fitting and equipment. Owner and operator shall install the maintained wellhead rated with an extent of the maximum of the downhole purpose for each of the well, complete with the oil gas purpose, except for the removal of the wellhead, the necessary for the performance of the maintenance of the well, unplug with the well with the other measures to maintain the control of the well at all times, prevent the release of the discharge of the gas fluid of the wells, each of the well associated with the fitting of the equipment that shall maintain a leak for the free condition, equipped with the sufficient valve fittings. Monitoring casing of the tubular pressure. A wellheaded class D with a shell configured with a 1/4 inch female with a fitting with a shuttle valve with a allow with the monitoring with the annulus production casing with a injection tube with one additional 4/4 inch female fitting with a shuttle valve shall be installed with the table with the measure of the injection pressure. Any well that is not equipped with the casing that has been circulated with the cement required under 312 in Indiana Code 2920 shall be configured with include 1/4 inch and female fitting the shuttle valve with all monitoring with the annulus between the mod product casing and surface casing as required in under 312 of the Indiana Administrative Code 2920-14. Reporting correct casing failures. Whenever a casing failure is suspected any of the well of the owner and operator shall notify of the inspector and if they do have the discover the owner and operator shall reply with the defect with the casing within 90 days of the discovery unless plan correcting with the casing with the failures approved of the division director of the owner operator equips of the well production with the tube with the impact with the demonstrator that is made with the revision with the well with the operator with the man protect for the underground source of the drinking water registration existing concrete production fluid storages within 120 days of the effect of the day of the article owner of the operator with the existing concrete production fluid storage structure of the register for the structure of the division prescribe the form of the information accounting putting registration within shall include the name and address of the structure and the name of the lease production unit of the structure, the location structure of the core section township of the range of the county map showing location structure that indicate the distance and direction of the structure of the nearest public road with the intersection of the prominent landmark plan view of the sketch structure of depicting the length of the width and height of the maximum design of the capacity of the structure the age of the structure with the if known with the date of the structure the first year with the concurrent owner and the operator of the division will assign with the registration number each of the concrete production fluid storage structure acknowledging the receipt of the registration application furnishing the registration number to the facility owner and operator of the concrete production fluid storage structure registration shall be transferred for the time of the associated well transfer of the registration approval of the new concrete production fluid and owner shall submit with the planning with the construction for the owner operative of the new concrete production fluid storage structure of the approval by the division new structure shall not be constructed until the determination is made by the plan with the breach of the requirement of the section of the division issue with the registration number to do for the structure. Division shall prescribe the form and other information accompanying with the plan which will include with the name and address of the owner of the structure, name and the lease of product of the production of the unit of the structure, the location facility with the quarter section township range and county map showing the location structure with the indicate the distance the direction structure for the nearest public road intersects the prominent landmark plan use together the depicting length width the height maximum designed by see if the structure of the plan view sub-range of the drain of the monitoring system if to be installed beneath the structure of the requirements of section 15b with a rule with the demonstrator of the location structure beneath the location requirement under section 15a with a rule when any of the portion proposed with the involved with the excavation field with the construction of the erection structure within a 100-foot year flood plan with a river and stream of the plan shall include the following demonstrator of the top of the structure at least 2 feet above with a 100-foot year flood elevation one of the following written confirmation division of the water permit not required in Indiana Code 1428.1, approved application construction of floodway Indiana Code 1428.1. Location, construction, operation requirements for the concrete production fluid storage structures. Non-concrete production fluid storage structures not located within 200 feet of existing occupied dwelling unless for the written consent of the by the owner of the dwelling consisting with the construction and operation structure closer within 200 feet. 200 feet with the domestic water of 1,000 feet with the public water supply well with 200 feet with a stream lake with a pond with the body with the water unless the operator demonstrate with the construction of the same topographical will prevent the discharge from the concrete with a storage structure within 100 feet year of floodplain with a river and stream and unless for the top of the structure with at least 2 feet above with a 100-year flood elevation on the permit obtained with the construction of the flood under the Indiana Code 1428-1 written confirmation received with the division with the water state with the permit is not required in Indiana Code 1428-1. New concrete production fluid storage structure shall be constructed with utilizing standard industry with a practice with the using form concrete bottom of the side with the should be underlain with the drain system. Construction operated to detect with the district with the release fluid with the side with the bottom with the structure with the drainage with the system shall be constructed with the lab with the modeling with a sample of fluids present with the other structure. Division director the may require with the owner and operative with the concrete production fluid storage of the structure with the submit with the built plans. Demonstrate that the structure has been constructed to meet the requirements of the section fluid accumulation with the drain system and the construction beneath it. Any of the concrete production fluid storage structure should be sampled quarterly by the owner of the structure, analyzed for chlorides and total dissolved solids by the independent laboratory capital result of the sample, and also should be maintained with the facility officer for review without the division unless the parameters are approved by the division director. If the chloride is greater than 500 milligrams per liter, the dissolved solid with greater than 7,500 milligrams per liter, the division shall be notified with a 5-day of the concrete production fluid storage structure shall be drained and inspected with the prepared in accordance with the requirements of subsection G before return to service. At the out of service inspection shall be performed all concrete production fluid storage structures according to the following requirements. For existing concrete structure, the construct with the subsurface drain, surface with the bottom of the tank with the dish, with the release, with the fluid, with the structure. Initial inspection should be performed with the 12 with the fact with the date of the article every 5 years thereafter. The construction, concrete structure for the construction of the subsurface drain system with the bottom with the tank with the dish, with the release of fluid, with the structure, the inspection performed within 30 days of the found with the recipient sample. The day of the subsurface drain system under section D shall elevated to chloride total dissolve at the level of the following all required action with the taken any time and an inspection conducted with the concrete structure of the subsection. Structure for the taken on the surface of the drain over the content of all the self and other debris of the person with the industry of the visual inspection of the content surface of the power washing shall be performed to remove such that the role of the owner instructs is notified by the division inspector at least 5 days in advance for the performance of the visual inspection of the inspector of the present of the witness inspection interior surface of the concrete structure so gradually examine to determine the presence of the cracks holes and crevices of the other visual indication potential leak with the repair shall make all of the area with the potential leak is identified with the visual inspection repair shall be inspected with the division inspection with by returning to the structure to serve as the reporting shall the result of the inspection remedial repair shall be submitted division within 30 days of the permit performing the inspection making any of the repairs procuring puncturing perforating side with the bottom of the concrete production fluid storage structure the prohibited except for the required under the abandonment structure under section 16 of this rule. Concrete production fluid storage structure shall be maintained at least 2 feet with the freeboard over the top of the structure to prevent unintentional discharge of the waste from the fluid structure surface of the water drain shall be diverted away from all concrete storage structure of the discharge any fluids. Concrete storage structure is prohibited. All fluids should be maintained with the disposal of required in 312 of the Indiana Administrative Code 2931-2. Those over the top of the concrete storage structure with the complete with the cover of the concrete cover over the securing with the cover of the security fence shall be installed with around each of the concrete production fluid storage structure to prevent unauthorized access. Each concrete structure storage shall be legally signposted to the conspicuous place near the structure shall be signed with a shape that is really easily readable the distance 20 feet shown with the following information: owner, operator, name, and the lease of the production or production unit with the registration number of the structure assigned with the division emergency telephone number. Concrete production fluid storage structure for the non-constructed operated maintained within the article with the beach shall be taken out of service with the abandonments in accordance with the requirements of section 20 of this rule. Abandonment of concrete production fluid storage structure for the abandonment of the concrete fluid structure for the according with the requirements section prior to abandonment of the oil gas waste material to remove the structure for the disposal of the with the 312 of the IAC with 2931-2 prior to removal of any concrete structure the owner and operator shall notify the oil and gas inspector with at least 48 hours in advance of the schedule of demolition operation. Oil gas inspectors shall inspect the structure for backfilling operation commence with the bottom of the concrete is equal to less than 3 feet below the ground surface of the entire surface shall be demolished and removed. If the bottom of the concrete is greater than 3 feet below the ground surface of the concrete side of the surface of either the proportion surface within 3 feet with the ground surface of the demolished down to the depth of at least 3 feet below the ground surface of the bottom of the concrete surface shall be perforated sufficient interval to prevent the accumulation of water from backfilling grading operations. Concrete rubble removed the under subsection performed the remainder of the concrete structure provided the all concrete rubble is buried at least 3 feet below the ground surface. If the acceptance of division E3 of the concrete bubble to remove the structure shall be made with the disposal of any of the following methods: burial within the location prior with the written authorization obtained with the land over the material with the release of 3 feet below the ground surface. Use of the material with the beneficial. Use any location provided with the written authorization obtained with the owner of the landowner acknowledgement of the receipt of the concrete rubble with the use of the will and material with the beneficial use remove the crushed, recycle the aggregated new construction, concrete construction, disposal of solid waste, landfill, or other waste management facility permitted by the Union Department of Environmental Management, authorized to accept the type of the waste contaminated soil within county demolition operation, remove the managed according to requirements section 4 or 5 of this rule. The owner and operator may require the division current conduct further investigation to permit additional remedial operations correct the adverse environmental impacts that may have as a result of the operation of the concrete production fluid storage structure. After removal of the concrete, rubble of the contaminated soil under the section excavation should be backfilled the native soil of the material of the incision to ensure the shape of the allow for the soothing of the surface restored as close as possible to the original land contoured. Now, this is a subsection preventing the construction of the pound of the other impoundment is decided with the form of the concrete structure of the pound impoundment. It's authorized by the landowner. The structure has and all other aspects that has abandoned under the requirements of this section. Upon conclusion, abandonment operation owner and operator shall report with the structure of the abandonment to the division. Report shall be prescribed with the division shall include the detail of the procedure used to close the structure in accordance with the requirements of this section. Alright, registration existing production fluid storage pits. Within 120 days effective the date of the article, the owner of the operator of the existing production fluid storage pit shall the register of the director of the division prescribe the form of the other information accompanying with the report of registration. Production fluid storage pit shall include the following: the name of the address of the pit, and with the name of the lease for the production of the pit, with the location of the production fluid storage pit, with the quarter section, township, Range County. Map showing location of the pit with the indicated distance of the direction of the pit with the name of the public road, intersection of the permanent and prominent landmark with the plan view, sketch production fluid storage pit depicting the length, width, of the height, with the maximum capacity of the pit, with the age of the production fluid storage pit, with the if known, with the date of the pit was first used with the current owner and operator, type of the agent, synthetic liner, install of the petroleum fluid storage pit, if any, with the division, with the sum of the registration number of each petroleum fluid storage pit, with the knowledge of the receipt, with the report, with the registration furnished, with the registration number of the facility, owner operator production fluid storage pit, with the regulation transfer, with the time associated well transfer, existing production fluid storage pit, with the reconstruct the requirements of section 18 of the rule of the owner operator shall submit with the structure and modification one over the 120 days of effect for the date of the article division, according to the requirement of the new storage pit in subsection B. Registration for the new production fluid storage pit, with the owner and operator over the submitted with a plan with the construction and operation of the new production fluid storage pit for approval of the division. The new pit should be constructed and given an individual with a determination plan lease requirement of the for the division has issued for the registration number of the pit. The division should prescribe the form of the other information accompanied with the production fluid storage pit that include with the name of the address of the owner of the pit, name of the lease production unit of the pit, with the location of the pit, with the quarter section, township, Range County. Map showing with the pit with indicate the distance, direction of the pit, with the nearest of the public road intersection, the prominent landmark. Plan view speak with depicting length with the width and height with the maximum design capacity with the strength of the design with synthetic line, install with the meaning with the requirement section 19C with this rule, or plan subsurface the drainage monitoring system and install with the beneath of the pit with the meet the requirements of 19D with this rule, with the demonstrate with the pit for the remote location requirements of section 19B with this rule. 9 where any of the portion proposed would involve the excavation fill with the construction erection of the structure with the 100 feet with the floodplain, any river the stream in the plan should include the following: demonstrate with the top of the pit at least 2 feet above the 100-year floodplain elevation, one over the following with the right confirmation of division water with a permanent not required in Indiana Code 1428.1, and administrative the application construction of the floodway under Indiana Code 1428.1. Okay, location, construction, operation, requirements, production, fluid storage pits of each of the production fluid storage pits have not been constructed with the modified to remove the requirements of the section prohibited to 180 days effective with the date of the article with the existing production fluid pit did not meet the requirements of the section shall be taken out and served as abandoned with the according with the requirements section 20 with unless rule modification of the pit has been filed with the division according with the 17th need with the rule of the plan has been approved with the division with the new production fluid storage pit shall not be located 200 feet over the occupied dwelling unless the written is consent with is obtained for the owner of the dwelling consistent with the construction of the operation pit close within 200 feet. Within 200 feet with a domestic water well with 1,000 feet from the public water supply with 200 feet with a stream of the lake over the pond with the body of the water unless the operator demonstrates with the construction stream with the topographically will prevent any discharge from the pit. With 100 years of the flood plan, any year of the stream at the top of the pit will be less than 2 feet over the above the 100-year flood elevation with the permit obtained with the construction of the floodway under Indiana Code 1428.1 with a written confirmation received with the division water stream with the permit is not required within Indiana Code 1428.1. Production storage pits for the construct for the utilizing standard industry practice for the limited lined with synthetic line with a capability of producing a layer that is 30 mils with an thickness of 4 inches welded seam overlap the U with the continuous line with the not prep with the liner should be installed with a complete cover the pit bottom and the side walls. Synthetic liner each production fluid storage pit should be underlain with a drain sieve for the construct of the operator with the detect any discharge for the release of the fluid sides of the bottom of the pit with the discharge for the constructor lab with the monitoring sample the fluid of the president with the pit. The division of the director may require the the owner and operator production floor shape is submit over the built plan with a demonstration of the pit with the main constructed meet with the requirements of the section. Fluid accumulating with a drainage system constructed beneath any production of the fluid storage pit shall with the B sample the core to the owner of the pit and analyze with the chloride to dissolve solids by independent laboratory. Copy the result of the sample the analyst should be made for the facility officer to review the division upon when the question left the parameters are authorized with the division director. Chloride is greater than 500 milligrams per liter with a total dissolve of greater than 750 milligrams per liter. The division should be notified within 5 days. Production fluid storage pit maintained at least for the 2 feet from the freeboard over the tops of the pit with preventing accidental discharge of the waste fluids from the pit. Discharge of any of the fluid production fluid storage pit prohibited. All fluid shall be managed with a disposal required in 312 of the Indiana Administrative Code 2931-2. Puncturing, perforating, synthetic liner is prohibited upon receipt of a sample of the underlying drain system under subsection F shown with the elevated curler at a total dissolve at solid level. The owner and operator shall do the following. Notify the division director at least 5 days in advance for the performing inspection. So for the inspector present with a witness and inspect for the drain pit with all the content conduct for the inspection to determine the integrity of the liner. Appear any cracks or hole the visible indication of loss for the integrity of the replace for the damaged section of the lining according to the specification of the line manufacturer before the returning the pit to service. Submit a report showing the result of the inspection any remedial repairs to the liner replacement of the division in 30 days following the inspection performing any liner replacement of the operation. Security fencing shall be installed around each production floor pit with a preventing unauthorized access to each of the production floor storage pit with a legal sign with a post continuous place on the near of the pit. The sign shall be shaped as I shape of the easily road with a distance of 20 feet with a showing the following information: owner and operator, the name and the lease for the production pit unit, the registration number of this pit is signed with by the division, emergency telephone number of the production fluid storage pit with the construct for the operator to maintain within accordance with the article should be taken out of the abandoned according to the requirements section 20 of this rule. Alright, abandonment of the production fluid storage pits. Abandonment of the oil production fluid storage pit should be conducted according to the requirements of this section. Proper demand of the oil and gas waste materials removed of the pit with the disposal of the accordance requirements 312 of the Indiana Administrative Code 2931-2. Synthetic liner should be removed with the disposal of the solid waste landfill. Other waste management facility permitted with the Department of Environmental Management with except the step of the waste for the back prior to the backfilling of the pit with the owner of the operator shall notify the oil and gas inspector at least 48 hours in advance. Sizzling backfilling operation. Oil gas inspector should inspect the pit before backfilling operation commences with the contaminated soil counted during the pit closure of the owner shall be removed with the managed according to the requirements of section 4 of the 5 of this rule. The owner and operator may be required to conduct further investigation and perform additional remedial operation for active virus environmental impact that may result with the operation of the production fluid storage pit. However, removal of the pit content of the lining of the contaminated soil under the section of the excavation should be backfilled with native soil with the material of the fishing with the intro of the site with suitable with the law with the settling with the service. First, to restore the closest possible with the original land card. Nothing in this subsection shall prevent the construction of the pond or other impoundment of the site with the form of the production stored fluid pit if the pound of the impoundment authorized by the landowner with the structure has in all aspects of the abandoned under the requirements of the section upon the conclusion. Abandonment operation of the owner and operator shall submit with a report with the abandonment division report shall be on the form which cover the division shall include the detail of the procedure of the close of the pit in accordance with the requirements of this section. Alright, production wells with uncirculated production casing. The section applies to oil and gas production wells complete without circulated with the production casing. The owner and operator shall maintain fluid level of the production well complete without circulated with the production casing at least 100 feet below the depth of the lowest underground with the source of the drinking water fluid level 100 feet elevation with the lower outermost underground source of the drinking water. Consider the pose of the risk of the contamination underground source of the drinking water unless the operator can demonstrate with one or more of the following: the base fluid analysis for the annual monitoring fluid level of the wells does not pose the threat to the groundwater quality, integrity, mechanical integrity with it performed at least once every 5 years on the production case. The damage of the casing is adequate. Isolate well fluids from underground source of the drinking water. The owner and operator any well with the pose of the risk contaminated for the underground source of the drinking water. The result of the high fluid level is it will promptly repair and replace the affected casing and take for the measure for the ensure the protection of the ground source of the drinking water. Plug and abandon the well if the owner and operator is unable to pump down the well with a normal pump and pumping interval for the well observe the other conditions that suggesting a hole exists in the production casing. Owner and the operator shall notify the division 48 hours to discover the monitoring of the fluid if the well will require the division to determine the well pose the risk of contamination on the ground soil with the drinking water. The division may require the owner and operator production while the uncirculated casing has been effective for the period of at least 60 days with the monitoring of the fluid level to determine whether the well poses risk of contamination of the underground soil with the drinking water. The division determine the coal seam of the oil gas formation any water bearing with a formation existing behind the production casing are not protected with cement. This is evidence for the buildup of the pressure may be occurring with the production casing the surface of the casing and annulus operator that may be required to be with the configure of the well to be include 1/4 inch in female fitting of the shut-off valve is allowed with the monitoring annual pressure between the production casing and surface casing or install a vent surface with the annulus to prevent buildup of the pressure upon open burning solid or liquid gas. Owner and operator shall not engage in opening of the burning of oil, gas, waste material of any of the kind unless they authorize applicable local, state, and federal laws. Protection of the water flow of the flying mammals. Owner and operator shall cover the following structure with the magnetic with the other protect with the material with the design with the keep of the birds and flying mammals with the entrance of the structure of the coming into the contact with the production fluid with the concrete production fluid storage structure of the net completely covered with the concrete covered with the other self-covering production fluid storage pit with the open tank to give the storage of the produced fluid liquid oil field waste. Approval of the denial application notice of the division shall the issue of the notice of approval of the denial application submitted under section 5, 6, 7, 13, 14, 17, and 18 of the rule in accordance with 312 Indiana Administrative Code 2935 and the decision to approve of the denial of the application subject to Indiana Code 421.5 production, petroleum production reporting. And we'll cut the tape there.